The galaxy had always whispered about humans. In the shimmering halls of the Galactic Concord, where species of every shape and hue debated the fate of star systems, humanity was a myth, a cautionary tale told of hatchlings and younglings. They spoke of a race from a backwater planet, Sol 3, reckless and resilient, capable of both creation and destruction in equal measure. The elders dismissed these tales as folklore, exaggerated stories of a species too primitive to matter. That was until the Krenvar Armada descended on the Orion Arm, and humanity showed up to fight. The Krenvar were a scourge, a hive-mind species with ships that blotted out stars. Their carapace vessels, pulsing with bioluminescent veins, carved through Concord territories like a blade through silk. The Concord, a coalition of 47 species, had faced threats before, but none like this. The Krenvar didn't negotiate, didn't surrender. They consumed worlds, stripping them to fuel their endless expansion. The Concord's fleets, elegant ships of crystal and plasma, fell one by one, their strategies outmatched by the sheer ferocity of the enemy. On the edge of Concord space, Earth watched. Humanity had only joined the galactic stage a century ago, after reverse engineering a crashed scout ship from the long-extinct Vorin. The Concord had accepted them grudgingly, granting them a single vote in the assembly and no real influence. Humans were seen as upstarts, their technology crude, their culture chaotic. But what the Concord didn't understand was humanity's knack for survival. Captain Aisha Okoye stood on the bridge of the Resolute, Earth's flagship, a patchwork of human ingenuity and scavenged alien tech. The ship was a beast, blocky, armored, and bristling with railguns and fusion torpedoes. Unlike the sleek Concord vessels, it was built to take a beating. Aisha, a veteran of Earth's unification wars, had seen her share of hopeless fights. This one, though, was on a scale that made her stomach churn. "Status report," she barked, her voice steady despite the odds. Lieutenant Chun, her tactical officer, didn't look up from his console. Krenvar fleet, 300 strong, bearing down on Tau Ceti. Concord's lost half their ships already. They're pulling back to the Alcyone cluster. Aisha's jaw tightened. Tau Ceti was a human colony, one of their first. 5 million people lived there, scratching out a life on a world of red dust and stubborn hope. The Concord had written it off, deeming it strategically insignificant. Aisha wasn't surprised. To the Concord, humans were expendable. "Set course for Tau Ceti," she ordered. "Full burn." Chin hesitated. "Ma'am, we're one ship. Even with the Resolute's upgrades, we can't. We're not abandoning our people." Aisha cut him off. "Signal the fleet. Every ship we've got." Earth's fleet was small. 27 vessels, cobbled together from decades of scavenging and innovation. But they had something the Concord lacked: grit. Humanity had clawed its way out of wars, pandemics, and near-extinction events. They didn't know how to quit. The Krenvar Armada loomed over Tau Ceti like a storm cloud, their ships organic and jagged, pulsed with menace. The Concord's remaining forces had retreated, leaving the colony defenseless. On the surface, shelters hummed with activity as colonists prepared for the worst. They knew the stories of Krenvar invasions, worlds reduced to husks, populations harvested for biomass. Then, a ripple in the void, the Resolute dropped out of hyperspace, followed by the human fleet. They were a motley bunch: retrofitted freighters, up-armored mining rigs, and a few sleek prototypes that hadn't seen combat. To the Krenvar, they must have looked like a joke. Aisha opened a channel to the enemy. The Concord had warned her that the Krenvar didn't communicate, but she didn't care. "This is Captain Aisha Okoye of the United Earth Defense Force. You're trespassing on our world. Leave or we'll make you." Static crackled. Then a voice, or rather, a chorus of voices, slithered through the comms. "Primitive. Irrelevant. You'll be consumed." Aisha smirked. "Yeah, we'll see about that." She cut the channel and turned to her crew. "Lock weapons. Prioritize their command nodes, those glowing bits on the big ships, and brace for impact." The battle was chaos. The Krenvar ships moved like a swarm, their bioweapons spewing corrosive spores that ate through hulls. The human fleet met them head-on, their railguns firing tungsten slugs at relativistic speeds. The Resolute took a hit early, a spore cloud chewing into its port side. Alarms blared, but the crew didn't falter. Engineers in exosuits patched the breach under fire, a feat the Concord's automated systems couldn't match. The Krenvar adapted quickly, targeting the smaller human ships. The Dauntless, a converted cargo hauler, exploded in a blaze of plasma, but not before ramming a Krenvar cruiser, taking it down with it. That was the human way. Go down swinging. Aisha's mind raced. The Krenvar's strength was their coordination, a hive mind link that made them act as one. Disrupt that, and they might falter. She called up Dr. Elena Marquez, the Resolute's chief scientist, who was hunched over console analyzing Krenvar signals. "Elena, tell me you've got something," Aisha said. "I'm picking up a frequency, high band, encrypted. It's how they're sinking their fleet," Elena replied, her fingers flying over the controls. "If we can jam it, we might break their cohesion." "Do it," Aisha ordered. "And Chun, get me a firing solution on their flagship." The Resolute dove into the heart of the swarm, dodging tendrils of bioplasma. Elena's team jury-rigged a disruptor pulse, using a salvage Voron emitter. When it fired, the Krenvar ships shuddered, their movements turning erratic. The hive mind was screaming, confused. "Now!" Aisha shouted. The Resolute unleashed a salvo of fusion torpedoes, each one a miniature sun. The Krenvar flagship erupted, its glowing core fracturing into 1,000 pieces. The swarm faltered, ships colliding in their disarray. The human fleet pressed the advantage, picking off stragglers with surgical strikes. But the Krenvar weren't done. A second wave emerged from hyperspace, larger than the first. Aisha's heart sank, but she didn't let it show. "All ships, form up on the Resolute. We hold the line." On the surface, the colonists watched the sky burn. They'd been told to expect annihilation, but the sight of human ships fighting tooth and nail gave them something they hadn't felt in years: hope. Volunteers manned makeshift defenses, repurposing mining lasers into anti-ship cannons. Children clutched their parents, whispering about the heroes in the stars. Back in the void, the battle raged. The human fleet was down to 12 ships, each one battered but unyielding. Aisha's crew was exhausted, running on stims and sheer will. The Krenvar's second wave was relentless, but their coordination was weaker, their hive mind still reeling from the disruptor pulse. Then, a miracle. Concord ships appeared on the edge of the system, dozens of them, led by the Etherean flagship of the Solari, the Concord's most advanced species. Their commander, a crystalline being named Zyrith, hailed the Resolute. "Human vessel, we observed your engagement." Zyrith's voice chimed, melodic but cold. "Your tactics are unconventional, effective. We will assist." Aisha didn't have time for pride. "Welcome to the fight. Hit their flanks, keep them scattered." The Concord ships, with their precision and firepower, turned the tide. The Krenvar, caught between human tenacity and Solari elegance, began to break. By the time the last enemy ship fled into hyperspace, Tau Ceti was still standing. The aftermath was grim. The human fleet was decimated, with only 7 ships limping back to Earth. Tau Ceti's surface was scarred, but the colony held. The Concord, for the first time, looked at humanity with something other than disdain. At the Galactic Concord's next assembly, Aisha stood before the delegates, her uniform torn but her head high. Zyra spoke first. "We underestimated you. Your species fought where we faltered. The Concord owes you a debt." Aisha didn't smile. "We didn't fight for your approval. We fought for our people. But if your offering will take a seat at the table, one with some actual weight." The chamber murmured, but no one objected. Humanity had earned its place, not through diplomacy, but through blood and fire. Back on Earth, the story spread. The galaxy no longer saw humans as folklore. They were real, flawed, and fiercely alive. And when the next threat came, the Krenvar or otherwise, humanity would be ready, because that's what they did. They showed up to fight.